Got an old Peavey 5150 came in. A good client bought it. Says he bought it online, seems okay, wants me to go through it. Wants it as original as possible within reason, as far as tubes, etc. Well, I can tell you already that it's not as original as possible as far as tubes. You got a fender replacement here, groove tubes. Well, it looks to be the same here. I don't see the label, but it seems to be the same tube. And then two ARS tubes, it looks like. Might say Ruby on it. In general, if you are replacing two of a quad of tubes, you would want to have this one and this one on one side and this one and this one on the other side. So you'd still have equal current draws per side. We'll check that out. It may be fine. They may have just gotten lucky. I'm about to pull it out of the chassis, and you can see here this riveted in transformer is wanting to lift up. These things are never really, the rivets just were never up to the task on these. They were made really cheaply, really fast, in large numbers. Something I wanted to show you before I pull it out of the chassis for anyone who has one or needs to work on one of these. Notice I removed the corner protectors on either side. Those corner protectors protrude out on the 5150 just enough that the chassis won't come out cleanly or easily. I mean, you can do it, but it's really difficult. So just take these corner protectors off, the chassis will slide out. On that note, if there's some shielding underneath here, sliding it can damage that shielding. So I will often get a pair of thin knives or painter's knives, you know, basically any small flat thing, and work it through on both sides and try to bear the weight on that rather than dragging it across the foil. But let me get this out and then I'll show you what's going on inside. All right, on the inside, I don't smell anything funky, and a visual look through doesn't show anything discolored from heat. I don't have any obvious leaks coming out of any of these caps. No. But wait, you say, I thought all Illinois brand caps, which these very much are crap and should be replaced on site because they always leak. And that is true for fenders made since about 1990. Peavey chose a better quality capacitor that ISC makes. Illinois Capacitor makes different grades of capacitor. Peavey chose some pretty good ones. They last a good long time. These may be bad, but they're not visibly leaking. I've had bad caps in 5150s on the axials and on the radials. These are Nishikans. They tend to be very high quality, but this amp is 30-something years old. None of these feel like they're wiggly on the board. None of them have bulges. I have no guarantee that any of them are good. The things which go wrong with these amps, besides the filter caps, are the heaters are run through these ribbon cables, which are just not up to the current, and they often burn, though these have not. Prone to microphonics in the tubes because they're very high gain. It's a very high gain amp that's not built all that well. I don't see any tubes here which seem original and valuable. They're just a bunch of different ones, like there's one that says Ignator. Just pulls from different amps over the years. It may be fine. The muting circuit loves to fail in these, and sometimes the pots like to wear out because they were not very good quality pots. But maybe everything's fine. We're going to find out. We're going to power it on. I've got my current limiter on again. I'll be watching these output tubes. I've not changed their position. In a little while, after I hear how it's sounding and behaving, I will measure the existing bias and current draw per side and see if I need to move some tubes around to make that better, or see if we need to replace the output tubes with a matched quad of some newer stuff. But we shall see. Right now I've got the on the almost a clean channel. It's, I believe, the oops, I need to put it on the clean channel. The crunch mode of the clean channel. think I've got bright off and crunch on. I'm not doing the high gain stuff yet. I've got both of them set to half on the gain. I've got the treble middle bass half up. I've got the masters like a quarter up, and the presence and resonance stuff at about noon. So let's take it out of standby. And indeed, I do have the 5150 white noise. Nothing wrong with the output tubes as far as microphonics. Only V1 has any noticeable microphonics on this channel. That's pretty good, actually. Let's change channels. Even better. Let me put this on a stand and see what it sounds like. All right, let's try out this 5150. This is as is, so just haven't done much to it at all. Okay, I need to apologize. A bunch of stuff I thought I had recorded, I hit the button twice and so I pressed record and then immediately pressed pause, and so it didn't record. But you didn't miss a lot on this. This amp was overall pretty healthy. Had a couple of dirty pots, I cleaned those out. Wasn't happy with the current draw differences between the mismatched power tubes. I put in a match quad of Sovtech 606 WXTs, which are a good, reliable, very rugged tube. This thing runs them at such a cool bias that longevity trumps anything else. You're not going to hear tone, man, out of the output tubes you put in a 5150 because it just stays clean. Yeah, it's just a big, loud, clean output section. The V1 tube was an old Sovtech. It was just, past its prime. It was very microphonic in that position. I put in a Mesa SDR SPAX7A, which is just a Sovtech that they sort out for low microphonics and low noise, and then they put some nifty black heat shrink on it, which is a pretty good choice for 5150, all things said. I guess I'll let you hear the lower gain channel, which is not the same as low gain. Keeping the master down because I've got neighbors and I've got kids, and this thing is loud. And I have tested this at high volume. It works. There's no oscillation. Everything's fine. Here's the higher gain stuff. No one really uses this for Van Halen sounds anymore, unless you've just got a whole bunch of harmonizers and really in love with pound cake stuff. It doesn't do what the Marshalls did on the records, and it doesn't do what the SLO did on a lot of the records that they went with this on the tour for. But anyway, it'll do a lot of the wheedly bits that people like. But I don't do that except maybe once a year, so my technique sucks. Side note, how do I test an amp for a style I don't play? Well, I don't have to play 64th notes, 5 against 4 a la Steve Vai, or the big complex sweep harmonics and stuff. The important things on that is how quickly is the note responding. And really, the 5150 is not a good amp for that kind of chugga fast stuff. It's very sluggish in that regard because it has so much compression. And the trick to getting that sound is actually to run the preamp gain lower and the output higher. And so that kind of thing, or I don't have to be perfect to know if it's going to feel right to someone. For instance, on this, you'd want to turn up the resonance and turn down the presence a little bit, and then further turn down the gain, and for that Metallica thing, scoop the mids, bass treble up a little bit, and increase the master some more. And for the guys who do a lot of harmonic minor arpeggios and stuff, I don't need to be able to play that stuff to know if they'll be able to play that stuff on an amp, because the important thing about that are things like the legato technique, which is that dovetails with what I do, or certain intervals. That third there sounds rough. That sixth, I guess I should technically say. This would not be my amp of choice for that kind of thing. It doesn't have a pretty enough sound for a lot of beautiful arpeggio playing, no matter the tempo. So, I don't know if anyone cares, but when I have to test an amp for a style I don't play, I know enough about the style and the techniques and the sounds they're going for that I can approximate the playing things that they're looking for. For instance, if someone wanted to sound like Yngwie or insert arpeggio harmonic minor guy here, this would not be the amp I'd point them to, because it has a graininess to it. Maybe on the lower gain stuff it could be a little bit better. But that's not what this amp does. But if you're looking for that grind thing, like in that little Alice in Chains bit, this does that very well. And for the Metallica stuff, once you dial it in and dial back the preamp gain, this does it very well. I don't think this would be particularly useful for Brent Mason, or for me, not to put myself in the same category as Brent, but I have to be able to test all kinds of things. If a guy comes in who plays jazz, I need to know what he's looking for, even to the point of borrowing a guitar with flats. In the case of this Mesa, I think the owner will be very, very happy. Required very little work to get it up to snuff. It is now a very healthy example of the species.